Thank you for joining us here on YouTube or wherever you're watching us from, whether that be YouTube or, I don't know, some spot on your phone, or we're being beamed straight into your head, whatever. I'm Aaron Campbell. I'm the director of the Secret City Improv Festival. Be sure to go. I do this every time. On my screen, all the info is on. It's this way to me, but it's stage direction. Go to secretcityimprovfest.com. You can get tickets for the festival, secretcityimprovfest.com/tickets. Throw us a few dollars to help put the show on, secretcityimprovfest.com/donate. Sponsor us. Find out how to become a sponsor, secretcityimprovfest.com/sponsorship. And we're on all of the socials. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on YouTube. I'm sure we could come up with a couple of others, but they're probably not safe for work. And then the festival dates are September 30th and October 1st. We've got 7 shows with 18 professional groups and 5 high schools. We'll be doing that at the Historic Grove Theater in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. There's all the info. And then over that way to me are the Mulkey brothers, who are teenage heartthrobs. Howdy, guys.
Hi, everybody. My name's Marshall.
My name's Mitchell.
And we are Teenage Heartthrobs. We're very excited to be at Secret City Improv Fest coming up here in late September, early October.
We're coming from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Capital City.
Yeah, the capital city of North Carolina, City of Oaks.
More trees than people.
Yeah, more trees than people. Oak Ridge also has oak in the name. There's got to be something there. Yeah, there's got to be something there.
We as you can tell, and as our host said, we're the Mulkey brothers. We're twins actually that do a 2-person improv show.
Yep.
Which is we basically get a suggestion and then we do a full improvised play where more often than not, hopefully it gets wrapped in a little bow at the end where we both play multiple characters playing each other and stuff like that the whole time.
And there can be as many from 2 to 100 plus characters.
Yeah, hundreds.
whatever the show calls for.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And yeah, we've been doing improv together for like 8 years now. We both started doing improv in high school together at the same time. We did twin testing where we took stress tests and we got paid for it, and we used that money to both buy our first improv classes. Yeah, so we've been doing it for the last 8 years together. So we hear often about our shows or about our sets that people love how we always know what the other person's thinking. We have excellent group mind and chemistry, and it really shows itself through our performances.
We were each lucky enough to be born with a scene partner.
Yes.
Who has the same DNA as one another. Yes. Growing up, we were always we got into improv at a young age. I can't remember how old we were. We went and saw we were on a vacation. We were going to both Indianapolis and Chicago on the vacation, and we actually saw improv in Indianapolis and not in Chicago.
Yes.
And it was it kind of it blew our minds when we first saw it. It was a short form show. The next day at the hotel in the business center, we printed off a bunch of short form games. We were playing them in the car and stuff like that. And so it's ever since then we've kind of had the improv bug.
Mm-hmm.
That's how most people they since the early 90s have encountered improv in short form, but that's usually through Whose Line Is It Anyway, and not like your all's first experience where you saw a short form show at. How old were you when you saw that first show?
Maybe 8 or something. I can't.
No, 8. I don't think it was 8. We were at least 10 or 11. I'm pretty sure. It wasn't that early on, but it was it was very early on. It's hard to say though when that vacation was. I can't quite remember.
But we did. I mean, because I do remember watching Who's Line when we were growing up. But I don't think at the time we were necessarily old enough to process
what they were doing.
Yeah, what they were doing and kind of like what was going on.
And especially with Who's Line, you know, you're not there in the audience to give the suggestion. So like when we saw it for the first time, it's like we knew they were doing this based off of our suggestion. Like there's no way that this couldn't have came off the top of their head since we were the ones providing the suggestion. So yeah, it was really a transformative and, like as Mitchell said, like mind-blowing experience. We were both so blown away by it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember when I was in high school, and a lot of us, we would watch, you know, I went to a high school that didn't have an active theater program. So we would watch Who's Line. A lot of my friends, we would watch it. And it was just, in general, we all kind of thought that, oh, well, they're all plants in the audience and this is scripted.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's the, you know, it's just Colin Mockery and Ryan Stiles, Greg Proops, and Wayne Brady, and so on and so forth. All of them are so polished at what they do. They can take anything and they can take any suggestion and make you laugh completely out loud with it. It's astonishing once you really get into doing it. You go, holy crap, that's amazing what they can do on stage.
No, I love rewatching it now, especially that we've been doing improv so often, because you can really see the craft that some of them have and everything, and what they're able to do with the suggestions.
It's always, to me, it's always the funniest to watch them break. To watch, you know, because
or watch them like try to make each other break and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that should be the dead giveaway. Nobody that has ever seen an improv show. That should be the dead giveaway. The Whose Line is not scripted. Great. It happens where they just start laughing, because if this was rehearsed and it was practiced over and over again, they wouldn't break. It's the same as I was pointing this out. I have a 14-year-old goddaughter, and we were going back and watching old SNL skits, and I put up the I put up Farley, you know, doing his motivational speaker.
Right.
And I said, watch. This may have been scripted, but when Farley goes through the table, that's not scripted. And you watch Christina Applegate and David Spade lose it. I was like, that's not scripted. I said, this is partially improv, because Farley, being Second City trained like he was, loved to just improvise during a scene. So no matter how scripted the sketch was, there's some element of improv when Farley is on stage.
Right.
And then everybody loses it, which is the best thing that can happen. So you guys started doing, so when you were young, you started doing short form games, but when did you guys really start, like you said, you did your stress test to so what kind of stress test was it? Were you getting shot with like fire hoses, or
it was like, so there were some things that were like small things, like, you know, like you had to, I think, add 12 or subtract 12. Either add or subtract 12 from a certain number. And if you messed up, you had to restart or whatever. They would tell you, like, they wouldn't give anything other than if you messed up, you had to restart. There was one where you had to like give a speech,
an impromptu speech,
and they weren't allowed to react in any way.
That one was terrible. That one, I really didn't. But the one that always gets people going, like, was so we'd sit at a computer screen. It'd show us random shapes, would randomly play white noise in our arms, and in our ears, and every once in a while they would send a shock on our arms or whatever. And it was sort of just to see how you reacted to the stress, knowing that another shock was coming. And at least when I did it, it was at a college campus, and I was, we were like 14 or so when this happened, and so of course we're 16, sorry, when this happened, and of course the person permitting it was a beautiful college girl, and so like when she was like, "Does that hurt?" I was like, "No, it doesn't hurt that bad or anything like that," but was like in serious shocking pain for the rest of the for the rest of the trial.
See, I was about to ask, this wasn't done in like the back of some dude's house.
No.
Was it?
It was
And then even worse, they give 16-year-old boys have signed up, and they put out the incredibly beautiful college girl be like, "Does this hurt?" "Nah, I'm good. I can take more." And then she's like, "All right, we're gonna hook this up to 220 and see what happens."
turn it all the way up.
Oh, I could just see it. But then go and do your first improv. So you get into level 1 improv that way.
It wasn't even exactly level 1 improv. I don't think we've ever taken a level 1 class, but we did like 3 or 4 years of improv for teens. Basically, we did their improv for teens class and their improv for teens camps, and it was through a great theater in Norfolk, Virginia, called the Push Comedy Theater. And the guy that owns that theater, he's really truly in love with improv, and I feel like his name's Brad McMurrin, and I feel like he's the part of the reason why we became even more in love with improv, just seeing his excitement about it and stuff like that. But yeah, we took 4 semesters sort of improv for teens with that.
And it was all mostly short form. I think maybe at some points we tried like a little bit of long form, but it was all mostly short form at the time.
Yeah, it's amazing. You meet improvisers that we all can recognize each other at some point, because we all get it. That's why festivals are so much fun. It's because you're in a room of people that I get your weirdness too. Because that becomes a lot of fun, especially like when we get into jam sessions and we get to play with new people. That's even more exciting.
And like the weird stuff, that's like honestly our favorite, at least my personal favorite part about doing improv, but at least our favorite part about doing improv together is because we both know each other's like weirdness capacity or whatever. We know what weirdness the other one plays off of well and everything like that. So we're able to make them very weird and know that our partner's with us 100% of the way, no matter how weird it gets.
That's an important thing, because that's what, I mean, it helps. You guys have been doing this since birth.
Yeah.
I went to high school. When I was in high school, we had 5 sets of identical twins.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And what was really funny is 2 of the guys, they looked you could not tell them apart. That the only way you could tell them apart is that one of the Brandenburg brothers wore a leather coat every day, regardless if it was summer or not. He wore a leather coat. And then his other brother he was as buttoned down. He looked like an insurance salesman most of the time. And what was really funny is that they would switch up in between classes. And if one was lacking in one area, then he would go in and he would take the test. Same teachers and everything, but the brothers would switch. And there was a lot of twin magic that would go on like that. So do you all ever get into any of that, try to fool any of the teachers or anything?
So we're both very we're individualists. Definitely.
Yeah, we're definitely more independent than that. So we like a lot, of course, like we've like heard that all of our lives and everything with like the switching classes and stuff like that.
Luckily we were both geniuses in school, so none of us was lacking in one area the other person was. We were both like AIG and stuff.
But it was just we were always like, I don't know, for some reason. Since when we were kids, we had such a vendetta against the idea of us like switching places in any capacity for any of our classes.
It's difficult growing up as a twin in the same era that has Sweet Life of Zach and Cody, twins on television, because everywhere you go, people are like,
either calling you Zach and Cody, or they're asking you questions like, do y'all ever skip or y'all ever switch classes? We also both have a very large fear of getting in trouble, which I feel like also influenced us, because if we got caught, we would have felt awful about it. We do not like getting in trouble.
And Raleigh, if people haven't been to Raleigh, gosh, Raleigh is such a great, just in general, Raleigh is a great city.
It's gorgeous. There's it's like spread out, which I'm a fan of, because you could be in 2 different parts of Raleigh and it kind of feels like 2 different cities. And there's a whole lot to do here, and it's just a fun. It feels good to be in this city.
Yeah. So what's the improv scene like there? Because I know, even though he doesn't necessarily do improv that much anymore, but I had Matt White on a radio show that I did years ago. Matt White did, and that was something that him and I talked about, was improv, because he performed in, I forget the troupe that he was in, but there in Raleigh. And I know that there is somewhat of an improv scene in Raleigh. So what's that like?
It's sort of like the pandemic of course, it made everything weird, but it's sort of like rebuilding now from the pandemic, and more people are starting to do more improv again, which is awesome. But so the main theater in the Triangle area is called Comedy Works.
It used to be a comedy sports theater, but they didn't want to pay for the licensing anymore, so now they go by Comedy Works, but they do the same competitive short form format. And we're both a part of that theater.
Yeah, we're both a part of that theater. Because the first improv show that we ever saw was a competitive short form show. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's a not like a rite of passage, but it's like something that we've always wanted to do, is perform in a competitive short form show.
Yeah.
But that's the main theater in the area, and one of the owners is awesome. Her name's Jen Bianchi, and she's kind of the head of the long form thing of that, and we're really close with her, and so through her we're kind of able to do more weird shows, and shows that like we kind of want to put on that are outside of the normal like competitive short form shows.
We also were trying to cultivate a bigger like indie scene and stuff like that. We run a monthly show in Raleigh at a bar. Every second Wednesday we do a show in Raleigh called an improv show at a punk venue, where we take that sort of punky attitude and stuff that like UCB especially was known for in the beginning, and we really subscribe to that, like, because improv, the act of making something up truly can be put anywhere. Like you can do improv in any sort of location or environment, so we might as well do it in a punk. There's rules to improv, but it's anarchist as well, and so it really fits. But yeah, and we're trying more so to really cultivate an indie scene in Raleigh if we can. But because of the pandemic, and since we're slowly starting to build things up again, it's starting to get more and more there. But yeah.
And then, so if you guys do competitive short form, do you all play on the same team, or do you guys separate and go to see who can get the win on the night?
So we don't put together the lineups. The people in the theater, there's been a couple shows where they've put us on the same team, and it's like a blowout.
Yeah, a bloodbath. If they put us on the same team, the other team is getting crushed that time.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's not fair. Like, I don't know.
It's not fair.
But yeah, so I mean, usually they put us on separate teams. I usually end up winning. Marshall does.
I usually end up losing. I'm usually on the losing team.
But and I don't know if it's just been ingrained in us because we did rec league sports as kids or whatever. We're both very competitive people. Yeah. So I think like whenever I tell people that have been at the club for a while that like I'm like kind of like keeping a record in my head of like my wins and losses, they're like, "Oh, you actually like care about that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I care about that." Like,
and this might just be the loser in me talking, but I've learned to not care about it at all.
Right on. So if people are going to be coming through Raleigh and all this, how can they catch you guys?
The biggest ways to keep track with our socials, we're on Facebook, Teenage Heartthrobs Comedy. We're on Instagram, teenage.heartthrobs. And we have a Twitter account. The name for the Twitter account, I believe, is Teenage Heartthrobs, but without all of the vowels, I believe. But it's a very that's a lot of consonants and it's very confusing. I never know
some
how
of them like capitalized too, I think.
Yeah, we did a very bad job on the Twitter handle for Teenage Heartthrobs.
But yeah, so just like looking there, because we try to promote our shows the best we can and everything. And just in general, if you're in Raleigh on the weekends, even if Teenage Heartthrobs isn't performing, if you're in Raleigh on the weekends and you want to see some improv and you go to Comedy Works, there's like a 50% chance that we'll be on the show that you come to. But yeah, for specific Teenage Heartthrob stuff, definitely just keeping up with socials, and then in general, just like going to see improv in Raleigh, because there is only one theater. And even if we're not performing, you'll get to see some good performances.
Yeah, you'll get to see some great performances.
And then real quick, let's plug the other group that you guys are in, Newtwork.
Yeah, so Newtwork Comedy is like a comedy collective, sort of. It's us and basically all of our friends, and we have a great time with one another. That one, Newtwork Comedy on Facebook, on Instagram, it's at newt.work, and a lot of the Newtwork stuff will be like some more of the not necessarily weirder shows, but
like the Slumber Party show we put up was technically by Newtwork. We're always trying to think of new formats and stuff like that to present. And we also, Newtwork has at least, we just recently for Pride Month, we did a Pride show at a punk venue where we raised like $176 for the local LGBTQIA plus center. And then upcoming in September. So I don't even know if this will be out by then, but we have we're doing a show to benefit Oak City Cares, which helps with the houseless people in Raleigh, which is a big deal in Raleigh. So like Newtwork, we really do try to build more of a sense of community and stuff like that with the shows. And Teenage Heartthrobs is technically under the Newtwork umbrella, even though we were here way before Newtwork. But yeah, so that's
Right on. Well, gentlemen, I cannot wait to see you guys at the festival. You can catch them in our 9 p.m. show on September 30th, and they'll be with Blue Play Special and Louis S. Anderson and Action Show. So it's going to be one heck of a great show. So be out for that. Find us on all the socials, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, bathroom stalls, all that stuff. And then go to secretcityimprovfest.com to find out about the festival. Get tickets from secretcityimprovfest.com/tickets. And come check us out September 30th and October 1st from the Historic Grove Theater. Guys, I can't wait to see you guys, and we'll see everybody in September.
Yep, we're really excited. Thank you.
Thank you so much.